A tear was born on the face of a crying child. The child was crying because he was afraid and could not find his mother. The tear prayed, saying, "What can I do? I am so small and insignificant." God answered, saying, "One day you will understand."
I think the reason that I serve is because I've realized that there is this dependence on each other that we all share, this common humanity. And one of the gifts that I've realized God has given me is the ability to listen to people's stories. And that's something I'm really passionate about, is offering that space for people, but also realizing that I need that space because by listening to people's stories and life experiences, it helps me to understand the world better, but also understand the invitation of where God is calling for reconciliation and healing and partnership to bring his promised kingdom to earth now. Yes. And so I think I serve in the hope of, seeing God in others and realizing the gifts that people have to offer.
I had many people before me that served. Yeah. So I had family, I had ministers. My mom was a charter member. My dad was on the board. I've been a disciples my whole life. It gives me joy. I feel blessed. I feel like I'm contributing to this community. And I love it. Yeah. I want to do what I can for this community.
When I go to the grocery store, I see somebody, I try to make eye contact and smile and let them know that they're seen. A lot of people just have their heads down and are just going about their day and trying to trudge through things. And I remember when Monty was a baby, being very lonely, and grocery store trips were my outing. And when I would go in, there was a few people that would make eye contact, and it was life-giving.
Yes.
So I try to do that in everything, really. I'm better at times than others. Sometimes I'm in my own head, but I think that that's part of letting Jesus shine in me.
Amen. Amen.
Well, I'm the property chair for the church. Means I meet with the board and with respect to what's going on with the property committee, and under that would be kind of general care of the building and grounds.
I believe we joined in August of 2018, and the very next Sunday we went to join the choir. Well, the very next Wednesday, the practice, went to join the choir. So we've been involved from the get-go.
Oh, so you jumped in feet first, huh? It's great. You and Charlie both.
Yes.
What a blessing.
Yes.
It's really fun to have an activity you both believe in.
Well, I've been involved with a lot of committees here at this church since I came in 2004. I guess I had been an elder and I'd been a deacon, but it was Pat Haygood that many years ago asked me if I would chair a committee to look at how we're serving in the community, look at our mission. And that was something that I always wanted to do more of and get outside the walls of the church and serve the community. So it was Pat Haygood that asked me to chair that committee. And the people on that committee were faithful servants of this church that taught me a lot. Dr. Coleman, Dan Kerr, Jim Oglesby, Mary Ubelhart. That's who I was serving with. Ann Lockard was involved in that. Of course, Pat Haygood. So that really started me on this journey in serving this church. First in that first committee with looking at our mission. And then, of course, from that, we now have our new bylaws. We have our mission, our vision, our core values. And all of that's come from that first idea of getting out and serving and becoming a part of the community. So I'm really proud of that's come from our church and our congregation and our membership.
As I recall, August of 2014,
Wow.
we had a chairman of the board named Pat Haygood, and she, I think, more than anyone else, was responsible for turning this church from an inward-looking body into an outward-looking body. And she had a dozen different suggestions on how we might proceed, and one of them was respite care. And so in August, I started putting things together in the gathering area. It was the middle of October before my first client came, but every Friday I came, sat there and waited. And middle of October, my first client came, and we, from that point on, moved from 1 to 10 different clients on a given Friday, and we had 5 or 6 people who came regularly to help. And it took that many. If we had 10 people, it took 6.
Sure.
Because some of those were wandering around the church. Somebody had to go wander with them.
Back in 2012, 2013 era, this church was kind of reevaluating itself to find outreach activities on the local basis more than just sending a check to another foundation downstate or somewhere like that. And we were going through some congregational meetings and kind of reevaluating, what we're doing and how we can do it better. And at that time, I was chair of the outreach committee and was asked to, find a project that, met the direction that we wanted to go into, where there would be more hands-on opportunities for members of the church. And I found a program called Weekend Food for Kids. And this was a program that was started and more spearheaded by Neighbors Feeding Neighbors. And this is a nonprofit of the food pantries in the area. They were providing food, for families as, according to a schedule by each food pantry had. But in the process, they discovered that a lot of school kids' needs weren't being met over the weekends because these families just weren't able to provide food over the weekends. And they provided a statistic that a kid that doesn't have food over the weekend does not really gain his or her ability to properly study and function in school until like Tuesday afternoon the following week.
Wow.
So that was, that more or less cemented what we needed to get involved in, and that's taking care of the kids. In the years we've had between 125, kind of the most kids to feed per week, to right now where we're feeding over 200 kids a week.
What makes this such a special church and special fit for you?
Well, the friendliness of the people. The first day we visited, there was a lady that met us in the parking lot. She's sitting right over there right now. Brought us in, showed us around, and we decided then and there that it was it. And
I'm technically a very shy person, but I know by being so shy how awful it feels to walk into a place that you don't know anybody and feel like you're alone in the room and nobody sees you or hears you. And because I'm so shy, I finally grew up when Dave and I were moving around the country, to the fact that I probably wasn't the only person in that room that didn't know anybody else. So I started paying attention and trying to just deliberately reach out. I kind of have this, I mean this to sound egotistical, but I have this kind of uncanny sense about what people are thinking or kind of their general demeanor, whether they're hurting or whether they're just reserved or whatever. And I don't ever want anybody to feel like they've come to this church and nobody saw them or heard them.
So you all have been, you have recently entered into a process together. And tell us what process that is.
We decided some time ago, seems like a long time ago now,
end of March this year,
to start the process of becoming foster parents, of being a foster family.
Yes.
All of us together, Sarah and myself and Monty, our son. So yeah, it's and that's a process, and we've been
working.
processing.
You've been processing. I love that. So I know it's a pretty intensive process, actually, and just naming this and being honest. So when we first talked about making this video, I think I heard from you a little bit of reluctance to maybe talk about being servants in that way, because it hasn't happened yet, in the sense that you haven't yet been asked to care for a child yet, and you will in due time. And maybe you were thinking, well, for that reason, we're not ready to talk about this. But I pushed back on that, and what I said was, you have been there's so much that's gone into the preparation, right? And just this process of preparing yourselves, helping Monty to preparing your home. And to me, that process is this deeply faithful servant process. So I really wanted you to have the opportunity to talk about that a little bit, even though you haven't yet taken a child in. Because to me, in so many ways, servanthood is about how we put ourselves out there, regardless of what the outcomes ultimately are. And you've been putting yourselves out there in preparation for this possibility. So with that in mind, tell us a little bit about that journey for you. Why did you decide to do that, and how has that journey impacted your lives so far?
Ultimately, it comes down to feeling like we're called to serve the orphans. Not that all of them are orphans, but there's so many hurting kids out there that just need someone to be consistent, to love them. And if we can help a parent by loving on their child and help give that parent time to do whatever it is to get their lives together so that they can be a good parent, or so that they can get their child back. We want to facilitate that.
beautiful. Make a pitch for being involved at Ruth's Place OTS. So there's different ways to serve out there. They always need help with the food pantry. There's also an ongoing opportunity to be a mentor to a kid out there, spend time reading with them. Talk about that and the blessing of doing that. We need to get more people out there.
We definitely need to get more people out there, and they want more people out there. So Sharon, who is, what is her job title?
She's the director.
The director, okay, yeah. Sharon is doing the after school program, and those kids have been identified as kids that could really benefit from this program, and they could really use some mentors in their life that are showing up, consistently, and helping them, reading to them. So that's a big need. I haven't personally done that. But the food pantry, I try to go out there every Tuesday, but sometimes I'm not able to. And, Angelita is getting older, and she could definitely use the help because we unload a bunch of boxes of food. It's heavy. And then we also, when people come, we take the boxes and load them in their cars. So, but I think that it's a great opportunity that specifically has really expanded my understanding of the world in Granbury, Texas, and I need to hear people's experiences that are different than me.
You're involved in other ways too.
Well, I really have a joy for serving the children in the Worship and Wonder class, and I enjoy working with the team there. Being an educator for many years, that's just where my heart is. Yeah. And I like working with the children, watching them grow and watching them learn. Yeah. It's a real blessing for me. Make
a pitch here for that. We're on the day when the congregation, as people watch this video right now, one of the things that we're doing today is we're going to be making a pitch for people to be involved in some way with our children. Pastor Austin's going to put in front of them a list of opportunities, and we want everybody to think about what they're doing to be a blessing to our children in the name of Christ, okay? Worship and Wonder is a big one. It's a big commitment, but I think it's a huge blessing too. We're going to be asking more people to be involved with that. Describe the blessing of that.
Well, one of the things about the Worship and Wonder class is that we probably have as many as 15, and they're ages 3 to 7. We actually need another class, and we need a class for first and second graders. And to me, that is just a wonderful that we have a class that we can split and make enough children for the first and second graders to have a special class just for them. And then we'll have the 3 through 5 year olds. We need people in the nursery to help supervise and play with the children that are in there. And then our new class, we really need some people to step up and work with first and second graders, and also with our 3rd through 5th with our JYF.
Well, I guess the most important thing is that you get a chance to really get to know someone and share. You have time to share who you are and find out who they are, and it's just a special bonding type thing. Otherwise, I probably would just kind of come and go with a hello, how are you? I would never take that time. It's been fun. It really has been. Learned a lot. I volunteered to do the kitchen because I figured that was something I could do without massive instructions.
I'll tell you what, singing hymns and singing with somebody who can sing parts, it's a rush. It's a good thing.
I bet.
Yes, I've been volunteering as a JYF Sunday school teacher,
Okay, we've got new members. What is JYF?
Junior Youth Fellowship. It's the first through fifth graders here at the church, and it's the Sunday school class for them. So growing up, you got JYF, and then Cairo, which is kind of your 6th, 7th, and 8th, and then the CYF as your high school years. And so a lot of my I grew up in the Disciples Church, so I was in the JYF, and I remember those times. I remember those building blocks from the JYF group, and so I wanted to help some way. I think one of the things that is always difficult for the youth is finding Sunday school teachers, because I don't know, maybe it could be a little intimidating. I mean, I don't know my Bible stories all that well. I've learned. By teaching, I've learned more. I've deepened my my faith just by talking to the kids about faith and stories of the Bible and learning that, going through that process with them. So, of course, my daughter and my son were in JYF, and so working with them in the Sunday school capacity was a lot of fun.
And I need to hear people's experiences that are different than me. That's how it's gonna widen, and that's how God is gonna use those stories to offer invitations for us on how to partner with these people. And it's not that these people need me, I need these people, And so it's been really great just to start building relationships with the people, since it is a weekly thing. And so I'm getting to know their names, and I think people, giving of our time is one of the most precious things we can do, because it's really giving our life, and to me, that's also what Jesus calls us to do. He gave his life. And so there's so many ways we can serve, but really serving with your time, I feel like, is so precious and meaningful, since you really are giving of yourself.
Amen.
Yeah.
That's beautiful.